Hi Taurus, welcome to Yellow Card No Tarot with me. My name is Carole and this is going to be a general reading for you for December 2025. And this month is going to be a very powerful month for us. There are a lot of energies around to support us. On December 4th, we've had a full moon. And then on December 19th, we're getting a new moon as well as the Comet 3i Atlas is going to be closest to the Earth. And I don't know if you've been following anything to do with the Comet 3i Atlas, but if you get a chance, it's absolutely incredible what's coming to us. And then in December, we have on the 21st, we have the winter solstice also as well. So it's going to be a real period of deep inner work, because in order to have this powerful transformation that's happening for us, we need to do some inner work. So, and I know it's a time that usually is very chaotic, but we're really being asked to, carve some time out for yourself and some stillness so that you can get in touch with what's going on in your system. And because it's really a time this month to release what's not serving us. In other words, to release what's not coming along with us as we move into 2026, a year of higher consciousness for all of us. And so what I did before we came on is I pulled two cards for you from the Return of Spirit deck and also from the Secret of the Ancestors. And so you got two cards. The first one is the Right Order. And this is the first time I've had this card come out. And this talks about, when you look at this card, everything's kind of all over the place. And so I really got this sense of that you're being asked to put things in order. So it could be, decluttering, and I know it's not a time to probably declutter, but then some of us might, because there's so much going on in our system that we might even choose to do it, but you're being asked to, kind of tie up the loose ends. Maybe you've had some bills that you need to pay, or you need to clean out some closets or do some paperwork. Maybe there's this pile of paper sitting that you can just start to organize. You can decide, I'm going to take that pile of paper that's been staring at me. I know I have a pile that I have to go through. And so what is it where you need to organize? Because it's really a message about, if we can clean our physical world, it really is symbolic and powerful, and we feel like we're cleaning the insides. And I've often heard of the term that for example, the home oftentimes is a sign of what's going on, an indication of a woman's psyche. And so if, things are just completely disorganized and there's so much clutter around, it really speaks of our mind. And so of what's going on. So it's really a time, they're saying, where can you declutter? What sort of things can you clean up or organize in your life, your outside world right now? And then you got the Root of Fire, risk it all. And so it's like you're being asked to clean up, first of all, because this card says, risk it. You can make this happen. Follow your passion. Be curious. It's time to move ahead. But I think that this decluttering is going to almost prevent you from moving ahead. So it's like you have to do this first. So let's see if we can get some clarity from the tarot right now as to how this applies to you right now. So I'm going to be using the Tarot of the Abyss, and I'm going to start off by looking at what needs to be released this month that's no longer serving you. And then I'm going to look at what's coming up from your shadow that needs healing. And so that's going to look at your childhood or your adolescence, because if we need to release something, we have to do healing. And that's how this healing journey works, is that in order to release what's going on with you right now, and I can see here that, there is some release that needs to happen for you because there's some clutter going on. And maybe this is just all symbolic for, well, it is, what's going on in your insides, and maybe you're feeling stuck. And so there needs to be a release of something for you in order for you to move forward. So what's coming up that needs healing? That's definitely going to be driving what you're being asked to release. And then I'm going to look at what guidance does the tarot have for you in relation to this situation. All right, so let's begin, Taurus, with what are you being asked to release that's no longer serving you? So one card for that. There we go. You have the Page of Pentacles. What's coming up from your shadow that needs healing in relation to this Page of Pentacles that's driving this situation? Oh, that one. And you did have the Two of Swords as well. So, yeah, I can pull this. I'm going to put the Two of Swords right here in reverse, and then you have the King of Wands in reverse. So these two cards were here. And what guidance does the tarot have for you? One card, you have the Seven of Wands. Okay, so use the Radiant Rider-Waite to clarify the Page of Pentacles. Couple cards for that. One more card. Oh, okay, so you got this one and then that one came. Okay, so you have the Nine of Cups in reverse, the Six of Cups in reverse, and the Five of Wands sitting behind the Page of Pentacles. Now, Ten of Swords and the King of Wands. Card, please. Here we go. I think I only need one card here. So you have the Strength card in reverse. Your first major arcana card. Seven of Wands. Couple cards for that. There we go. Those came out quickly. Way I like it. The Knight of Cups in reverse and the Seven of Swords. So we get that Ten of Swords here, which is interesting in your shadow, and then it comes out as a 7. So those are related for sure. We'll talk about that when we get down there. So the Page of Pentacles. So what are you being asked to release? Well, I'm going to say there's some emotions here. Because you have the Nine of Cups in reverse right after this Page of Pentacles. So very important that I talk about this page right here. And pages in my deck, I see them as inner children. And I know mainstream psychology likes to say that we just have one inner child, but I've been on my own personal healing journey intensively for 8.5 years. And I know that I have more than one inner child. And our inner children will hold our trauma. They'll hold our big emotions that are connected to that trauma. They hold our memories. And they need healing. And they need us to listen to them. And it's like they're, pulling at your pant leg and saying, Taurus, listen to me. I've been trying to get your attention for a long time here. And so there's some emotions here that need releasing. And it makes a lot of sense that, sometimes when we hold on to things, when we, like this decluttering idea that came up at the beginning, for example, we can hold on to things. We can keep things, stuck in a pile, and we can be quite chaotic sometimes in our in our outside world and in our everyday lives, because we're trying to avoid these emotions that this inner child is trying to, whether they could be related to some memory that's coming up for you. I know that before a memory comes up, I always get emotions first. And then the actual memory will come up for me. And so this page is the Page of Pentacles, and the pentacle is all about your body. And believe it or not, when you were about 4, 5, 6 years old, you were very grounded in your own body, right? But I think this card comes up to tell me that, there's definitely a part of you that may be feeling quite ungrounded right now, and that would relate to sort of the chaotic environment that you're having. But so there's a younger part of you, an inner child that needs healing right now. And I know that you, Taurus, right now is kind of, you see this individual that has put all these cups here in a row, and they've crossed their arms, you see, and they haven't got to the Ten of Cups yet. And the Ten of Cups is all about this full range of emotions that we're meant to have. But I think there's a part of you that's kind of, crossed their arms and said, you know what? I'm done with healing. I'm done with feeling. And you've been running from them. You've been running from your emotions. I call this guy my spiritual bypasser. And he's the one that just says, I'm done healing, or I've already healed all my stuff. There's no such thing as healing all your stuff. You're always healing, always healing. And so I think that there's you're just not willing to look at these emotions. And it's in reverse, because I think it's become like a point where this has almost been, this is a real detriment to you, where it's like, you've got to look at these emotions. What is this inner child trying to say to you? What do you need to feel in order to heal? And then you have the Six of Cups that comes in reverse right behind it. And the Six of Cups is a card of, it's a card of giving and receiving. First of all, you have these two, it refers to like your childhood, these two younger children that are offering a cup. This one's offering a cup to the other child, right? It's in reverse because I think there's like something to do with your childhood that you do not want to look at. This card can speak of memory. It can speak of, childhood innocence. It can speak of a lot of things that are coming up for you right now that have to do with, sometimes it can talk about things that, giving and receiving. So things that maybe you didn't receive when you were younger that you needed to, not being able to express your emotions when you were younger, right? So this is coming up for you right now. Yeah. So because you have that page and because you have that Six of Cups, this really speaks about needing to heal something from childhood, whether it's a memory. But I just feel like you're blocked. You don't want to touch it with these emotions that are, and that's what we can get really scattered about, because we get really distracted, especially during this period right now when things are coming up. A lot of things do come up around this period for people, and you just don't want to look at it. And then you have the Five of Wands as your last card here, which makes it's quite interesting, because it really does tell me about a big emotion that's coming up for you in particular. You have these individuals right here that look like they're battling it out with their wands, right? But the Five of Wands to me is it's like a conflict of the ego. It's these things that you can tell yourself in your head. It's a card of heavy shame, of things where you can tell yourself where you're just not good enough, or you don't really matter, and the things that you can hear yourself. Your ego will often repeat it. If you're healing things like, who do you think you are? And it sounds like there's something that. This card came out earlier about saying that, you can make this happen, follow your passion. So that's kind of coming up for me now. It's like there's some cleaning up that needs to be done, which is a cleanup of emotions, right? That are inside as well, right? So it'll be reflected out into your own light, your own physical space in your house where you're living. And then you're going to be hearing things like, I think you're hearing things like, who do you think you are? Because there's something here that you're wanting to do. There's a passion that's coming out here. So I think you know what it is. Something you want to do for yourself, but you're hearing these shameful comments in your head that are repeating in your head, like, who do you think you are? You can't do this. And these come from childhood. And this is this little page that's trying to get you to say, listen, I have some shame around. Maybe there was something you wanted to do when you were younger and you were ashamed. I don't know. I'm going to look into your shadow right now. But you're hearing this, these messages from childhood. And oftentimes when we're hearing these messages, they're things that were told to us when we were younger. And we repeat them in our head. And so what's happening? What's coming up from your shadow right now that needs healing that's related to this? Well, you have the Ten of Swords in reverse. And let's take a look at this. Look at this individual that's here. Look how much he's suffering. He has all these swords on his back. And 10 is at the end of a cycle. It's like he's done in. And this is you. You gave up when you were younger. Well, what do these swords mean that you gave up when you were younger? Oh, I just finished talking about how you're hearing these things in your head, right? The swords are mental thoughts. And so these were things that you were told when you were younger. And now you're repeating them in your head. These are all the things that you were told when you were younger. Who do you think you are? You don't matter. You can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. And all these things that would have been told that would have kept you down or prevented you from making anything happen for yourself. They did you in. And you gave up when you were younger. And then you get the King of Wands that comes here. It's interesting because the King in my deck is the masculine part of us. It's our ego self. And it's the part of us that would have, when you were younger, it would have taken you out of your body because you had these painful things that people told you. And so you had all these emotions, this shame that you inherited from your caretakers. We do not, we're not born with shame. It's something that's given to us. And so when these things were told to you, it's like this, shame's really shitty. And so as a younger child, this Page of Pentacles right here, would not have been able to, you wouldn't have been able to feel the shame. It's too big of an emotion for you to feel when you're younger. So this little page has it for you, and it holds it for us, and it's up to us to feel the shame now. And but the ego self will pull you out of your body when you're younger and put you up in your head. So what it does is it dissociates you, so you don't have to feel these emotions because they're too heavy for you. And here's the Strength card that's buried in your shadow, and you didn't have the strength. Normally it's a card of, when it's out of the shadow, it talks about the strength, the inner strength that we have. Well, I mean, you didn't have the inner strength as a child to be able to fight off this shame that you felt when you were younger, and that's buried right here. And so I'm going to say that as a child, you learned how to dissociate. You use it as a survival mechanism because you had these big emotions. And it's no surprise that the first card that came out here, I'm going to return back to this right order. And when we're dissociated, things are quite chaotic and we can be quite distracted. And it's interesting that you got a card that says it's time to put this distraction, all these things that you have, this disorder in your life needs to be put back in order, because the distraction around us and the disorder around us, the clutter around us, is all a sign of what's going on in our head. The clutter in our head, the disorganization in our head, that's the dissociation that you learned when you were younger because you couldn't deal with this pain. of when you were younger, the shame. And so what's the guidance? What's the tarot have for you as guidance? Well, Seven of Wands is your first card. And so this is probably my favorite card in the deck. It's an individual, non-conformist. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're the black sheep of the family. Maybe you're the one that knew that you were different. Well, here you are. And this is a card of, going out on your own. It sounds like it's a time where you're going to have to go out on your own now. Maybe there are going to be some individuals that you have to release, some things you have to release. But it's time now. There's going to be some people that aren't going to support you in December going forward. But and it can be a very, really lonely journey. But it's the only journey that you have right now in order to bring peace to your life. Because this is what this card is. It's you going out on your own and knowing that there are some people that are not going to support you. And they're going to tell you to get off your pedestal. Who do you think you are? You're going to hear a lot of the same messages that you might have felt, might have heard when you were younger. Who do you think you are? Get off that pedestal. You can't do this. But there's something here that says, you can make this happen. Risk it all. And that's you risking it all. Going out on your own and making this, moving ahead. Even if people don't like it. And right after that, you have the Seven of Swords. And I said that, I was going to talk about the Seven of Swords. And so this is called the Thief card. And we talked about the Ten of Swords and how, as a youngster, you would have been finally you gave up. Because there are so many things, negative things that you were told about why you couldn't do something. And here you are with this individual has 5 swords in his hand, and look how dangerous they are. So these are your thoughts. These are the thoughts that you run away with, right? That you're still holding on to. And so it's time now that you take a look at, okay, what are these thoughts? What are these thoughts that you're continuing to hold on to that people told you when you were younger? Because they're dangerous. You can't carry those. You can't take those anymore with you. You need to heal those thoughts and become aware of what those things are that you're continuing to spin on in your head. And then you have the Knight of Cups that comes in here. And this is a part of you. This is like an adolescent part of you when you're about 14, 15, 16 years old. And this is a card that, I call this my freedom fighter. All my knights in my deck are freedom fighters. It's the part of you that wants to pull you towards your authentic self. Wants to pull you away from the oppression of maybe people in your life right now that are really pulling you down, and I think this is why you're being asked right now to go out on your own, because it sounds like there are some people that are really pulling you down, right? And this is the Knight that's going to fight for authentic relationships. It wants to take you towards authentic relationships. And so it's a powerful reading for you right now. I know there was there's a lot built into this reading that I think could mean a lot for you. We talked about the decluttering and getting your life in order and an inner child healing. And so there's a lot here for you that I'm sure you're going to find that you're going to relate to. It's going to resonate with you on a certain level. And so I want you to have compassion for yourself as you work through this. This is going to be a real month of healing for you if you put the effort into it and get yourself into a real grounded and quiet stillness so you can start to feel what's really going on in your system for you right now, Taurus. And remember that this is a very difficult journey, but it's the most important journey for you in your life. And so have compassion for yourself. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, I forgot, before I forget, I'm going to leave you with, I think it's really important that you learn to ground yourself during this period of time when we can become very distracted and very dissociated. And so I'm going to leave you with a playlist on grounding yourself. All right? Talk to you soon. Bye.